Hi everyone, I'm Jacob, and today I'm going to be talking about an art movement called Afro-Surrealism. It's the visual art of cultural identity, historical trauma, and spiritual resistance. I hope you enjoy the video. I first want to talk about the origin of Afro-Surrealism and where the term actually came from. A man named Amiri Baraka, originally known as Leroy Jones, was a prominent African-American writer, poet, playwright, and activist. Baraka was a leading figure in the black art movement of the 1960s and 1970s, which sought to establish a distinctly African-American cultural identity and address social and political issues affecting the black community. He was known for his outspoken activism and his powerful, politically charged writing. In Baraka's 1974 essay, Henry Dumas, Afro-Surrealist Expressionist, he explores the life and work of Henry Dumas, but also introduces the concept of Afro-Surrealism as a literary and artistic movement. Baraka argues that Dumas's work, with its use of dream imagery, mythological symbolism, and political themes, represents a new form of artistic expression that is rooted in the black experience. He writes, "The Afro-Surreal Expressionism of Dumas and the others mentioned unfolds the black aesthetic, form and content in its actual contemporary and lived life." He goes on to say that the color is polyrhythm, refracted light. I really like this quote because polyrhythm refers to the simultaneous combination of contrasting rhythms in music. So in this metaphor, he's suggesting the complexity and richness of Afro-Surrealism. And like polyrhythmic music, Afro-Surrealism incorporates multiple layers of meaning, imagery, and symbolism. When he says refracted light occurs when light is bent or changed as it passes through different mediums, creating a spectrum of color. In this metaphor, refracted light symbolizes the diverse and multifaceted nature of Afro-Surrealism. It also suggests that Afro-Surrealism is not a single monolithic entity, but rather a dynamic and ever-changing movement that encompasses a wide range of styles, themes, and perspectives. Now I'd like to talk about American artist Jean-Michel Basquiat. He was born in 1960 in New York City. Basquiat's work is often characterized by its raw, gritty style and incorporation of text, symbols, and figures. In his work, he explores themes of race, identity, and urban life. Basquiat's contribution to Afro-Surrealism lies in his unique blend of surrealistic imagery, social commentary, and exploration of the black experience. One of my favorite Basquiat quotes is, "I don't think about art when I'm working. I try to think about life." This sentiment aligns with the Afro-Surrealist movement, which prioritizes the exploration of real-life experiences and perspectives over conventional artistic norms. D. Scott Miller is a contemporary artist, writer, and curator known for his significant contributions to the Afro-Surrealist movement. He is a leading figure in the exploration and promotion of Afro-Surrealism as both an artistic style and a cultural movement. He was born and raised in Washington, D.C. and studied art and literature at Howard University. He became interested in the intersection of surrealism, African American culture, and social justice. His interest and studies led him to write Black is the New Black, a 21st Century Manifesto. His 10-point manifesto outlines and defines the next generation of black artists. The key points of the manifesto focus on embracing surrealism in African American culture, social and political engagement, expanding the boundaries of Afro-Surrealism, global perspective, and intersectionality. Since the manifesto was written in 2009, I would argue that Miller's 21st Century Manifesto has had a significant impact on the Afro-Surrealist movement and helped shape its direction and goals in the contemporary era. One of the most notable examples of Afro-Surrealism in popular culture is the television series Atlanta. It's hard to describe what genre the show actually fits in, and you might be left even more confused if you try to Google it, because Google doesn't know either. I figured this is probably the perfect time to show this clip from a Miles Davis interview, where he shares his take on labels that try to define genre.
Jazz is only a white man's word he gave to music that he couldn't play, so we don't use that word.
If you really want to know how to label the show, Donald Glover says it himself. "I just always wanted to make Twin Peaks with rappers." The show takes place in Atlanta, Georgia, and follows a character named Ern as he tries to manage his cousin's rap career, who goes by the stage name Paperboy. True to the Afro-Surrealist movement, the show can best be described as surrealist,
with the Texas on him. Oh, there he is. That's a trip, man.
Why we even talking, man? What's going on? What's good?
while also grounding itself in a pretty accurate depiction of Atlanta, even including actual locations native to the city. One of the scariest,
What's in there?
Go ahead. Walk in.
funniest,
Put some extra fries in there.
Take them out.
Just don't eat them, damn.
Craziest and possibly my favorite episode of Atlanta is titled Teddy Perkins, which is episode 6 of the show's second season. Teddy Perkins is often cited as one of the most Afro-Surrealist episodes of the series. In the episode, Darius responds to an online ad for a valuable piano and visits a mansion owned by a mysterious man named Teddy Perkins. As Darius explores the mansion, he becomes increasingly disturbed by Teddy's strange and unsettling behavior. Eventually, Darius discovers that Teddy is actually Benny Hope, who's a famous musician, and that Teddy's real intention is to frame Darius for his murder and that of his brother. In a shocking turn of events, Benny kills Teddy and then himself, leaving Darius shaken as he drives away from the mansion. One of the writers of the show, Stephanie Robinson, commented that while it was undeniable that there are references to Michael Jackson and the idea of someone changing themselves within the industry, she also saw the parallels as more of a symbolic reference to the industry and what one will do to be perceived as great. Donald Glover, who actually played Teddy Perkins, created this episode to explore identity, trauma, and systemic power. He addresses the Black experience and how Teddy's mask-like face and pale complexion can be seen as a metaphor for the ways in which Black individuals are often forced to wear masks or hide their true selves in order to navigate a world that is hostile to their existence. He delves into the theme of trauma, particularly the intergenerational trauma experienced by Black families. Teddy's revelation that he and his brother were physically abused by their father in his quest to make them musical prodigies speaks to the ways in which trauma can be passed down from one generation to the next. This episode also explores themes of power and control, particularly in relation to race and class. Teddy's attempts to exert control over Darius, as well as his plan to frame him for murder, are a reflection of the ways in which Black people are often denied agency and autonomy in a system that seeks to marginalize and oppress them. The surreal and unsettling atmosphere of the episode, as well as its use of symbolism and metaphor, are hallmarks of Afro-Surrealism. The mansion itself becomes a symbol of the haunted past that Teddy and Benny are unable to escape. The character of Teddy embodies the psychological and emotional scars left by their traumatic childhood. What I love most about Atlanta is that this episode is just one example of how the entire series pushes the boundaries of Black creativity. Atlanta continues to address pressing issues while resisting efforts to confine a movement that is inherently fluid. Afro-Surrealism transcends an artistic movement. It's a radical reimagining of reality, a defiant assertion of Black existence, and a powerful tool for liberation and self-expression. I wanted to cover Afro-Surrealism because it's a movement that I don't think has received proper spotlighting. So I hope you leave this video knowing a bit more about it, and I also encourage you to watch Atlanta to see how it can be applied. Thank you for watching.